Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio, home of the KIDO Talk Radio app. And coming Monday, win Kevin Miller's cash. More details at KIDOTalkRadio.com. We're fired up. Your chance to win $5,000 on KIDO Talk Radio. Details at KIDOTalkRadio.com. Joining us once again, a great friend, a person that has served our country so well, a gentleman who we love having on this program because he really gives us a perspective of being in the real world and really what's going on in our world today. Rear Admiral retired Thomas Lynch. Admiral Lynch, thank you for joining us once again here at KIDO Talk Radio in Idaho.
Kevin. My pleasure. Always a pleasure to be with you, Kevin. Thank you so much.
You know, sir, what's the state of the world's security today? We're hearing a lot about North Korea. Not a lot about what's going on in the Persian Gulf, but you've still got your hand on the till. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, for us as Americans, every day there's something new, a new issue that hits us in the face, whether it's shootings in schools or it's a disease coming through or it's something, the weather. I mean, it's always something that really hits us and grabs our attention, but we kind of forget sometimes that day in and day out, there's people out there that don't like us because we're Americans, whether it's haves and haves not, or I want a piece of you because you're an American. And there's a lot of bad people in this world, and we need to understand that. And that's why I devoted my life to a career of naval service. That's why we've had people right now today around the world doing things. We train the way we're going to fight. Anybody in uniform, we want to deter war. The last person that wants a war is those are a conflict, is anybody in uniform. But we understand that it's not a kumbaya, wonderful world out there. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of bad actors, and we hope to deter war. So I spent 30-some years on active duty, and went through the entire Cold War because of the Soviet, first the Russians, then the Cold War. And then they backed down. They blinked. The wall came down. It's peace in our time. And then up pops the jihadist, Islamic jihadist. Russia never really went away. You see the rising emergence of China, and then you see the proliferation of nuclear weapons. And we always kind of kick the can. The politicians, it's very easy for them to kick the can until they can't do it any longer. And I think that's what our current administration has inherited, whether it's Iran, whether it's North Korea, whether it was ISIS, now Syria. I mean, we don't want to deal with those things because they're nasty, they're ugly, people get hurt. It's tough decisions have to be made. But and now you almost can't kick the can down any further with North Korea because they are, whether they have them or not, I wouldn't know, but they're on their way to have an intercontinental ballistic missile that could strike you in Boise, Idaho, or me here in Maryland, and so are we as a nation willing to tolerate that, and what can we do about it, and how do we do about it? And these are tough decisions. I don't have all the answers any more than anybody else, but I do know that strength will deter wars, and we've kept the nuclear weapons in the holster here all these years with the mutual assured destruction policy that we had in this country. And, I remember as a kid climbing under the desk for an atomic bomb. I'm 75. So back when I was 8-10 years old, 65 years ago, and we're talking about climbing under the desk because there's the bad guys, the Russians have atomic bombs. And the world hasn't changed that much. I mean, the challenges have increased some. I would say under this previous administration, the military has been hampered quite a bit. We had the sequestration, and I don't say just the administration, but Congress as well. We had the sequestration issues that, you just can't run an efficient government or efficient military. And then so many of our compatriots are willing to say immediately fraud, waste, and abuse in the Defense Department. My goodness, that $500 hammer and things like that. A lot of it is not of our making, and it's very difficult to run a program, an efficient program, and a productive program, and a cost-effective program when you're not sure But you can't work a long-term budget. You can't plan what's going to happen next year, maybe even next month in some cases. So financially, and so that makes it very difficult for the planners in the Pentagon and for the military itself, and then that ripples all the way down to the fleet, where you don't have the parts, you don't have the efficiency, you don't have the pay for the people. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and then that emboldens the bad guys out there. And believe me, there are bad people in this world, and we'd like to think not. We'd like to think that we're all created by the same Creator, and that there's peace in our heart. But there are people that don't feel that way at all, and I think we see that in ISIS. We see that in a lot of the dictatorships around the world, and so we need to be prepared. And I'm thankful that we are at least facing up to North Korea at this point in time, and I believe we need to get China. China is the key factor there, the linchpin, if I may use that word. My last name is Lynch, but the linchpin on our policy going forward, because China is a rising economic, military, strengthening power, and I've heard that since 1994 they've increased the population in China has increased by 20 million a year since then, and they've got major cities, they put a what's it called, a 9-mile or something like that. It's basically 1,000 miles from their coast in the South China Sea. They just drew lines out there and said this is now Chinese territory, and Chinese anything below the water, above the water, in the water, and then they've manufactured and constructed those atolls out there where they're not the size of some little island. They're the size of the state of Rhode Island. So, and they have not militarized it yet, but that's the next step. And, the Chinese, we think short term, as Americans, hey, got a problem, let's face it, let's get it over with and move on. Chinese, look, it's a 100-year deal. So there's a lot of issues out there that not only are we facing today, but our kids, our grandkids are going to face. And that's what bothers me most, is that then we saddle them with a $20 trillion debt on top of all these challenges that they have, whether it's immigration, education.
Admiral Lynch, unfortunately, we're seeing the era of American dominance at jeopardy, or could be waning. Let me, before we get to China, and I'm thank you very much for bringing that up, sir. Can you take us through all your years of training, and hopefully some of it has been declassified, into the minds of not only the Russian Navy, which we don't hear a lot about, but the Russian agenda, sir? What are they thinking?
I don't really know. I think you really got to say what is Putin thinking. I think that from what I have read, people of my genre, people of my age and generation in the Soviet Union and the former Soviet Union kind of feel that, hey, we went head to head. We were fighting like we were fighting. There's going to be a nuclear war. It's going to be a major hot conflict between the West and the East. That subsided. We had glasnost. We had perestroika. We took down the wall. It's going to be peace in our time. I can live with that. I'm satisfied with that. The young generation, the millennials in Russia, they look at a guy like Putin and they say, look at him. He's virile. He's strong. He stands up to the West. We're going to get our country back again. We're going to get the prestige that we've lost. And they look at it as a loss of prestige and loss of face throughout the world. And now we've got a real tough guy up there. And they're very, supposedly, from what I read, is that, and believe me, I'm not talking anything confidential here. This is what I read in the open press, is that the millennials, or the younger generation in Russia, they're very, very supportive of Putin and everything he's doing, the hard stances he takes, and the things he's doing in Ukraine, that's threatening the Western Alliance, that's threatening the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and even Poland. So it's and then the foment that he's created over in Syria, and jumping on the Assad bandwagon, so that he now has a warm water port for his fleet, and that'll be the outcome for the Syria, and then just be a thorn in our side and a continual threat to the state of Israel, and eventually in cahoots with the Iranians. And so it's there's a lot of foment and discontent that he is creating, but he's getting rave reviews at home from his younger generation. I think in many ways is a Potemkin village, because they don't have the economy, the structure, the democracy, the organization that we have in place in our government. And so a dictatorship can last so long, and as long as the oil continues to flow and he's making a lot of money from the oil, that's great. He's able to keep it going. But we're threatening that, and I think we're trying to the Europeans. I think we'll show a little backbone here. I'm hoping Angela Merkel in Germany will step up a little bit. But so there's a lot of things going on, a lot of issues going on around the world. That it's never easy, and what goes on in the mind of a dictator, who the heck knows? We do know that they're going to stay in power at all costs.
Sure. Our great friend, retired Admiral Thomas Lynch, Rear Admiral Thomas Lynch, joining us. One more question, then we'll talk a little bit about New Day. Let's get back to the Chinese threat and friend or foe.
Well, I would like to think that the Chinese are our friends. I mean, we have here at New Day USA, we've got we're very diverse work group here. And so our top people, our chief risk officer is Chinese and still a Chinese American, and working for us, the most fantastic guy in the world, and we have several others. So, I hope and our goal is that we can move forward with the Chinese. The Chinese, obviously, the communists. Obviously, the Xi just got the President for Life title. But they're on the move, and they're billions of people. And I've told a group at the Nixon Library. I wasn't a speaker, but I was in the audience, and I said, if I were the Chinese, I would have done the same thing they're doing. I would claim they've got all these billions of people that are growing, and they are a dynamic society. And what they're doing in Africa, we've kind of written off Africa. We don't do a lot of infrastructure building. We don't have a lot of our people over there. We have a lot of aid and State Department and people like that, and export, import. We do a lot of things over there, but to really be embedded in the society and the structure as the Chinese have done. And so they're working throughout Africa, throughout, I don't know about South America, but they definitely are in the whole Asian Pacific. They are a dominant player economically, militarily, and diplomatically. And hopefully we can, not to say that there won't be conflicts. You cannot both be growing and both be dynamic and both have in the global world in which we live. It's not that far, and we're all sort of interdependent as countries now, as human beings in these countries. And so we want to, I think our policy, I'm sure our policy in the United States is we want to grow with China. We want to help them. We want to develop with them. We want them to be a good trade partner. But it's a two-way street, and they're going to, as we've seen, I mean, they steal our technology when we can. We believe that they've done a lot of hacking to our systems, whether that's state-sponsored or not. I'm not sure that that's public information or if it's proven or not. But they are growing, and they've got such a huge population that they need to take care, and they're getting more and more. It's hard to keep the farmer on the farm when he's got an iPhone or he's got some technology and he sees what's going on in the West. He sees what's happening in the rest of the world, and they are, like I say, their cities are as modern, as functional as any of ours. Do they have problems? Sure, they got a lot of problems. Ecological. Just the unrest and different sectors and different sections and
Sure.
different religions and things like that. But so there's going to be conflict in the future. Hopefully, it will not be a military conflict, but there'll be conflicts diplomatically and economically and probably in other ways. But hopefully, it'll never get to a conflict with weapons.
Admiral Lynch, finally, New Day. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I'm always so pleased to talk about New Day. In fact, I can't wait till somebody asks me, what do you do? Why are you doing that? Well, I'm 75 years old, and I'm chairman of a company called New Day USA. We have 650 employees. The average age is 26, unless I'm not here for a day. But we hire young people right out of college. We give them the best training anywhere in the industry, in the mortgage lending industry, and we do one thing: we put veterans in homes. That's all we do. We do VA loans only. So That's why I'm here. I don't need to be here, but I'm here because we're helping that veteran out there. There's 22 million veterans, 13 million are homeowners, and about 2 million are in a situation where things have happened in their life, whether it's a divorce or medical, or kids come home with kids, or tuition payment, or taking care of parents, whatever it is, they get behind. So they live on revolving credit. And those credit card industries, the consumer interest industry is not going to give them any breaks. We had a guy in here now a couple of months ago, but he was $100,000 in debt, paying 29% interest. I mean, it's almost pernicious. I mean, it's pure penury, and it really shouldn't have happened. And so, but we take that individual, and our average client is a 60-year-old that we consolidate $33,000 of credit card debt, lower his payments by $700, and put $17,000 in the bank for him by giving him a low-cost VA loan. We pay the home appraisal, and we do everything we can to help the veteran. And that's all we do is fully documented, manually underwrite every loan. So it's almost like a custom loan for the veteran. And when they asked me to join the board like 7, 8 years ago, I said, well, I got one big question for you, and that is, what is your delinquency rate? And at that time, it was 1.9%, when the fleet average out there is over 5%. And today it's down to less than 1%. So we're doing the right thing by the veteran. We changed lives. Tears flow. Our young people here, they treat every veteran caller with dignity, deference, and respect. And they look for, what can we do to help you? The Admiral has said, in fact, we got it right in the script. They said, the Admiral has said, I'm to do whatever I can to help you get that loan. And not all can qualify, but we try to get as many as possible to qualify for but it changes lives, and they've earned it, they deserve it. They've made possible all the freedoms and values that we enjoy in this country. I mean, I've worked with these people. I know what the sacrifices they've made for us, and so it's my swan song. Like I say, I'll turn 76 next month, so for my swan song is whatever I can do to help the veteran, and I can ride off in the sunset in peace of my heart.
Admiral Lynch, we appreciate you. We'd love to have you back. Thanks for helping the veterans.
Anytime, Kevin, and thank you for your show and what you do for all the people out there in Idaho.
Have a great day, sir. Bye-bye.
You too, my man. Thank you.
All right, Admiral Lynch joining us. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And this is from Chad emailing me, Kevin at KIDO Talk Radio. Boy, that Admiral can talk, Kevin. Is it the Kevin Miller Show or the Admiral Lynch Show? Well, you're right about that, Chad. By the way, you can always email me, Kevin at KIDOTalkRadio.com, on Facebook, KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller Show. By the way, coming up Thursday, we're going to be at Ultra Touch Car Wash in Meridian, saluting Meridian. Very excited about that. Come out and join us. We're going to be out there right by the road. Don't hit us. We're going to have the big tent, and hopefully a lot of people will be honking. It's our way of waking you up Wednesday morning and saluting our great communities in the Treasure Valley, particularly Meridian, Idaho. That's our first one. And don't forget, next week, whether it's at KIDO Talk Radio, KIDOTalkRadio.com, or you can get more info at our app from the App Store, Google Plus, how to win K. Millie's money. K. Millie's cash on KIDO Talk Radio, up to $5,000 could be yours. Details at KIDOTalkRadio.com. Liberty Linda joins us now. Good morning, dear.
Yes, good morning, Kevin. You know, sometimes, Kevin, I think you have psychic powers. Well, sometimes you say what I'm thinking.
Well, that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think so, if you're a talk show host. You know. Anyway, I was thinking this morning about your wonderful guest who said that he was a liberal, I think it was, and an unbeliever, and yet after he was baptized, he said that he had this wonderful, unbelievable, heavenly feeling over him, shining down over him. I thought that was just marvelous, and it brought me to think about what happened to me on Sunday. We had this person standing up giving us a talk on Palm Sunday, as in most churches, and, you know, I realized that there was a white aura around this person. You know, I took my glasses off. I put my glasses on to make sure I was seeing what I was seeing, because I'm not one of those people that see auras. And anyway, my point is about this is that we see so much evil in our world today that perhaps, just perhaps, we're moving into a heavenly era as well. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, after 8 years of Obama, I think we could all use some heaven.
Now, again, you're psychic. You say what I think. Absolutely. We need that heavenly time coming into this era, I believe, after all we've gone through. Anyway, that was my point today.
Your point is always welcome here, ma'am.
Yes. Well, we always do when we listen to your show. It gives us a feeling of calm in a world of confusion.
Liberty Linda, thank you. God bless.
Well, may the Lord bless you as well, Kevin. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye. Traffic and weather. KIDO Talk Radio. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Doug. And Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Don't forget, starting Monday, win Kevin Miller's cash. Details at KIDOTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, you can always find out what we're up to, what we're doing with the KIDO Talk Radio app. Available at the App Store, also available on Google+. So people love it, whether you're Jim from Star, Tea Party Bob, others. They love the KIDO Talk Radio app because you can take it anywhere. In fact, someone over the weekend was raving to me about the app. I was at a wedding, and they just couldn't believe how wonderful the app is. And so check that out today at the App Store and Google+. Don't forget, on Thursday, we're going to be at UltraTouch in Meridian, our great friends at UltraTouch, home of the non-ethanol fuel. We're going to be there right across from Kids Again, whether you call it Fairview or Cherry Lane. Regardless of what you call it, we're going to be there saluting Meridian. We would love to see you. Or if you happen to be driving by, just give us a honk, right? Maybe we can have a bunch of people honking all morning long. What a way to wake up. That is Thursday morning, UltraTouch in Meridian. So we can't wait to take a look at that. A few of the things that we've been talking about today, we'll give Decker 30 seconds and then we're out. A few of the things that we've been talking about today is the issue involving Facebook and whether or not it should be regulated. The federal government, they want Mark Zuckerberg to come up. They say, hey, Zuck, you're going to have to take a look at this. You're going to have to answer some tough questions, which begs the question, just how influential is social media? Before that, though, some students at Hofstra University, they want one of our founding fathers, his statue removed. Get this.
Team of Founding Fathers. Some students at Hofstra University in New York want the statue of Thomas Jefferson removed. You can see it right there, saying he's an icon for white supremacists. A petition and a protest planned for later this week, now gaining momentum online. Not all students are supportive of the proposal. The school has refused to take down the statue.
Can you believe that? Why? I mean, we're living in a country today where you have students at a college that want to get rid of the statue of Thomas Jefferson. And look, young people are our future. As I've said before, this is the most difficult time to be a young person, to be a conservative young person, because the libs, they're like the Sith in Star Wars. You remember the Sith? They started off with a very small part, and they just gradually infected everything. That's what we're dealing with the libs. They are our version of the Sith. And I'm talking about the old Star Wars, not the new politically correct Star Wars. I'm talking about the old Star Wars where you had, men were men, that sort of thing. So getting back to this issue where you have the libs just permeating the mind of these kids today. And whether it's these marches in the Treasure Valley, what did they accomplish? Oh, it gave the TV stations and the newspapers something to do. But did they really accomplish anything except upsetting people? Did it really? And then you have, again, the kids trying to tell us what to do. No, there are a reason why we're adults, and there are a reason why you're kids. And I'm just fascinated by this whole role reversal where we're, vilifying the Second Amendment. And you've heard, we played those clips yesterday where these kids are saying, oh, no, the guns have to go. And now the idea that social media can make a change. Well, really, can we trust anything on social media? Not really. Can we really trust anything that when you type something in? It's just like when you go to the grocery store. That's not your private information anymore. They know what you eat, what you buy, what you sell, those sorts of things. Right? It's not private anymore. It's not proprietary. Because to get the 5% or 10% off, you give them information, then they print out coupons, and then they try to mold your behavior. And this is what's, facing Facebook right now on Capitol Hill. And you have many young people saying that, look, Facebook should be regulated. Well, Facebook is a private business. It's not a service. It's not like sewer or water or anything else, right?
This is the second time that the FTC has investigated Facebook's privacy practices. So in 2011, the agency questioned Facebook on its user privacy protocols, and the FTC and Facebook agreed at that time to some user privacy guidelines. So if Facebook did not act in accordance with those 2011 guidelines, add on millions of dollars more in fines for the company. Class action lawsuits, 2 types, have already been started against Facebook. One is from investors, one is from shareholders. Also, states' attorneys general are now investigating Facebook, including New York, California, Massachusetts, and others, to bring that total to 37. In New York, Deirdre Bolton, Fox News.
And there we have it. But I love this, how people are saying that Facebook should be regulated. Now, Facebook is an option. It's a luxury, as we've talked about, not a necessity at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And so you give them information. Well, what happens next is they use it. And now people are saying, well, they didn't have my permission. Well, then don't use their service. Don't opt in. If you don't opt in, then you don't have anything to worry about, right? But the thing that gets me, and that continues to get me, is the left using the kids, whether it's going after Thomas Jefferson, whether it's going after some of these other folks. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, is that the point of view? Thomas Jefferson, although imperfect, is an American hero. Why would you tear down a statue? This is where education has been replaced by indoctrination. Recently, during a town hall, you had people going back and forth on guns.
Republicans think that there should be more armed guards in schools to protect them.
I mean, okay, partially, but I also think that to an extent, if you put all of these extra guards, it's going to feel like a prison.
But how do you think you stop someone shooting people? If everyday citizens have the right to carry, could have been stopped altogether.
Even if someone is trained, just like Officer Peterson was at my school, there's no way that you could possibly simulate an event like this. There's no possible way to practice or do an active shooter drill. He went in there with high-capacity magazines, a semi-automatic weapon, and killed 17 of my classmates in 6 minutes. Don't tell me that a handgun could have stopped that.
What about the argument that if there were more armed guards who were trained, that armed guards could deter and take out a school shooter?
I'm not saying we can't have school resource officers, but they need comprehensive training.
It's hard to
I'm sorry, but it's funny getting lectured by 16 and 17-year-olds about people that put their lives on the line need to be trained. Do you really think that cities and schools do not have proper training programs for school resource officers? And these kids, I'm sorry, in my opinion, they're programmed to grab the guns. Oh, it's going to feel like a prison. Well, then what's the solution? Maryland has some of the toughest gun laws in the country. Matt Otter joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kay Millie. How you doing?
Living the dream, brother. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to talk a little bit about the statue, try to remove the statue from the Hofstra University. I mean, Kevin, this is just what I'm talking about. These kids nowadays, they're brainwashed. They're not getting taught the right parts of history. I don't know what kind of textbooks they're teaching them nowadays, but the one I read when I was a kid told me that Thomas Jefferson was a great man who helped establish this nation. And, I mean, come on, Kevin, let's be real here. They're not, slave owners. They're not, I mean, this is just ridiculous, Kevin. Let's get back to teaching these kids the fundamentals of this great nation.
Well, I would agree with you. What they're doing is they're stealing our culture. They're not honoring the people that sacrificed. They're destroying these people. They're tearing them down.
Yeah, like even the removal of the Lee statue. I mean, come on, he fought for the South, yes, but he was still a brother and a great American who fought for his beliefs in the freedom of states from the suppressive government. So let me tell you, Kevin, this needs to change. We need to start teaching our children the right way and stop with this whole PC garbage.
I agree, Brother Otter. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. You have a great day. It's a beautiful day out.
It is. Enjoy the freedom. All right, Matt Otter. He's out.
Explain how dangerous it feels when I walk into my school. It doesn't matter that there are policemen there. There's no possible way to protect it. Why don't we just cut it off at the source and take away these semi-automatic weapons?
So let's talk about that. Let's go around for solutions and what you each would suggest for solutions.
First, a ban on assault rifles altogether. Raising the age that...
What's an assault rifle? Is a shotgun an assault rifle? Pro-Life joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, you know, a shotgun is it's an assault rifle. If you get those shotguns that are semi-automatic and you can put a big magazine in there, you can put out more lead than with a full automatic rifle. You could kill hundreds of people with an automatic shotgun in just a few, maybe just less than a minute. And, you know, they're not talking about that. And what it does is it shows that they're totally brainwashed. And it can only happen in public school. I have two daughters that are public school teachers. And
you have two daughters that are public school teachers?
Yeah, they didn't listen to their mom and dad. But anyway, they're afraid of guns because the other teachers tell them that they're supposed to be afraid of guns. And they were raised with firearms and to, know that there's nothing wrong with firearms.
Here's another thing. I wish these kids would stop stirring up the hysteria. You go to schools in the Treasure Valley. They're not going there in fear. Yeah, I'm sure people are concerned. And everybody's concerned, but it's not like everybody's scared to death to go to school.
Yeah, I know they're not. Well, the problem is that they are, well, I think it's good what's happening because it's showing how ridiculous the school culture is, how messed up it is. And so it's going to, a lot of the parents are going to say, man, my kid believes that. I didn't know my kid was that stupid.
Well, hold on here. I want to hear, listen to this.
Yeah.
That you can apply to get a gun, more comprehensive background checks, and mental health screenings.
We need to start by banning these weapons of war, and no civilian should have them.
And what about the argument that you'll hear from people who say, if you ban semi-automatic weapons, then only the criminals will have them?
Does that mean we shouldn't try? That we should hand them to them legally? Like, we're not creating these red flag laws. We're having background checks that take on average from 30 to 2 minutes at the most. And if your background check gets flagged after 3 days, you can still get the gun if it's incomplete. That's ridiculous.
If somebody wanted to go shoot up a school, it doesn't show up on the background check. I mean, if you look at the Las Vegas shooter, he was perfectly legal to get a gun. Nobody knew that he was going.
And that's the issue. So why don't we cut it off at the source?
How will we defend ourselves if you take that right away?
Your thoughts, Pro-Life?
Well, it's just pretty terrible because
these are the young people.
Yeah, I know, and the young people that we need to have a rally, especially here in Boise, of young people that are pro-gun, and I liked it when we had the girls with guns.
You liked girls with guns?
The girls with guns, yeah, I liked going down to the state capitol and seeing those girls with AR-15s over their shoulders. I thought that was pretty cool. But the children know that if the teachers were armed, it would be a lot better. And lots of them do. But if they go to speak up, the ones that know that it's better to have armed teachers, man, they get squashed like in some of those schools back east. So, I mean, we have a big culture war going on. We got to fight it. We can't wimp out.
Pro-Life, thank you for the call.
All right.
More coming up. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Much more this week on Facebook and whether it's time to opt out. And I love the Patio Daddio emailing me, Kevin at KIDOTalkRadio.com. Anyone using Disgracebook is voluntarily giving up their privacy, and they deserve what they get. Been a while since we've heard from the Patio Daddy-O. By the way, you can always email me, Kevin, at KIDOTalkRadio.com. You can get more information about us via the KIDO Talk Radio app. Now, you've had some students at a town hall meeting with liberal CNN. You know, again, we're with Fox, but the libs, that's where they go. Liberal CNN. And here you have a young man saying, well, if we don't have weapons, how are we going to defend ourselves? Listen to how he was treated.
Defend ourselves if you take that right away. And that's what the left is trying to do.
We're human beings first, right? Our lives matter before political parties.
I agree.
And you don't know any of our political affiliations.
You don't know any of our
You don't know any of our
affiliations.
You don't know that.
And I think, well, I'm not attacking you guys personally. I'm attacking the ones that seem to be backing this whole movement.
This is a student-led movement, and that's what it should be. We were the ones who had to hear those gunshots, and we were the ones who stared down the barrel of a gun, and that's the end of it. No other adult.
That's the end of it. So if you weren't at Parkland, if you did not stare down the barrel of a gun, no matter if you served in the military, if you're a taxpayer, you have no right to disagree with these kids. Even if you're another kid that said, look, this is what the left is doing, and you have the ignorance permeating from their mouths, from their pie holes, saying, well, lives should matter more than political parties. My goodness gracious, go out and get a job.
Politician, no one funding money into this. People can donate the money, and we can accept that, and that's fine. But they're not controlling or influencing us.
See, notice how you have one conservative, and they attack him.
Every single politician that's accepting
all
money
of you
from
right here are telling me right now none of them are funding this movement.
They're donating.
He called them out. He said the libs are behind the whole thing. It's not a student-led movement. They're admitting they're getting funding from the left.
Money, and they are encouraging gun control. They're standing for what they believe in as well.
You're prioritizing your rights over lives
for gun violence
at this point.
My solution for gun violence is allowing people to have guns. The more people that are armed, the less shootings there will be. Have you ever seen a gun show get shot up? No.
Your thoughts next, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. This gets heated. I love how these panel discussions turn into, let's have the libs beat down the conservative. Traffic and weather. And thank you, Patio Daddy-O, who said, Kevin, you hear, notice how the Maryland shooting went off the national radar when the school resource officer took down the perp. Well, good point.
You haven't seen it. Why? Because the guy's going to get shot. The guns are the solution, not the problem.
What would you consider success?
Guns are the solution, not the problem. Tell that to a lib.
Yes, because of the movement.
An assault weapons ban. Handguns are perfectly okay. That fits into the Second Amendment.
I love this kid. At 16, he knows what the Second Amendment's all about, but an assault weapons ban. Well, how do you define an assault weapon? And there were school shootings during the assault weapons ban. You know who really were limited during the assault weapons ban? The good people. And if the people in America really wanted the assault weapons ban, it wouldn't have been allowed to expire.
We don't need people walking around with AR-15s.
Why are you telling everyone out there in America that you can't own a gun for your protection? You know, I'm in fear walking around that shooter can have.
I love this kid.
It doesn't need to be for protection.
It's not a good gun for hunting either.
Why are you telling
for hunting, for sport?
It's not efficient hunting guns.
My life is more important than a gun. It's used to hunt.
This is a tough one because you guys here with.
All right, enough of her. She used to work at Fox, but she got the boot. Now she's with the libs. However, really, thank goodness we at least had one conservative kid telling it like it is. And so, as you've heard right here with me, Kevin Miller, only on KIDO Talk Radio, as we've suspected, the libs are behind this, using these impressionable victims to promote their anti-gun, anti-American, anti-hero agenda. Thankfully, we've got you watching our backs. Go get them, folks. Take care of your kids. Ray Amaya, great job. To everyone, thank you for listening. Tell a friend. God bless, and keep the faith.